All right, welcome to another episode of the Real Talk Real Estate Show. I'll be your host today, of course, David Huffman, and really excited today about discussing what most agents never do, or if they don't do, they don't do a lot of, or if they don't do a lot of it, they never do it because they don't know how to do it. Am I confusing you yet? That's about how confusing in today's world what prospecting is, and what does prospecting even really mean? And so, on today's episode, we're going to kind of go through prospecting and you know what? Screw it. Why do we need a prospect? I mean, all agents hate it anyways. Screw it. Show's over. We're good. No, come on. But let's be real. We've got to do it, right? But why do we really want to do it? Now, after a lot of coaching calls, out of a lot of hours myself, not wanting to prospect, it's not fun, it's not cool. Lots of no's and negativity. But why really do we want to prospect? And so something that I've changed in the mindset of a lot of my students, I wanted to share with you guys today that may give you a little bit better of a reason why you want to prospect and a better understanding of what to expect. So if this is one of the first times you've listened to our podcast, please take a minute, whether you listen to us on iTunes or on your Android, take a minute and hit the subscribe button. Our goal here is to have a couple of different episodes a week come over to you and just to be able to provide real value to you in your residential real estate business. So not anything commercial. We're not necessarily trying to sell you anything, but just good, solid advice and really getting rid of the fluff that's out there in our industry and getting you to the information of exactly what works in today's market. So please subscribe to our podcast. We greatly appreciate it. And I haven't really, in the first couple of episodes here, taken a minute to kind of explain a little bit about myself. And, I'm just like any other agent. I'm nothing special. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I didn't get a lot of real estate business from my friends or my family or parents or anything like that. And I learned by my mistakes, honestly. In 15 years of mistakes, I can tell you a lot of what not to do and maybe less of what to actually do or what actually really works in today's market. So, there's a lot of coaches that are out there. There's a lot of specific coaches for certain areas of the real estate business. And my role in this industry and my goal in this industry is to help other agents like myself just having or wanting to sell residential real estate, but not having to always be chasing the next deal, having a sustainable real estate business, but also having a lot of time to be able to go out there and spend time for things that we're really put on this earth to do. And that's from, churches to family to watching your kids play baseball, coaching baseball. Those are the things that we're really here for in our industry or in our world. We're not here just to be able to sell real estate or say that we sold 1,000 homes or something. That's not why we're here. Or at least that's not why I'm here. And if it's not why you're here as well, then this is probably going to be a good show for you to listen to continuously. So my role here is not that I'm better than anybody else, but at the same time, though, is to really help you guys through that thought process and to give a way that not only that I've learned through myself, through my own residential sales over the years, but also through literally thousands of coaching calls that I've made and finding out what really works to empower agents to get them to want to do some of those things that we don't really want to do. And on today's subject, in today's episode, we're going to talk about one of the number one things that I hear as a coach or the number one thing as a coach that I see that the students or agents aren't necessarily doing. But I think there's a big myth in our industry. And today we're going to kind of uncover that. But first I want to talk about what really is prospecting. Like, what is the reason that we prospect? What does that really even mean? So the simple dictionary version of is to look out for or to search for. And so a lot of the times they're prospecting, obviously, that has kind of a negative sound to it, prospecting. We got to do prospecting. I need to make 50 prospect calls. I mean, it's like, bore me some more, right? But why are you really making those phone calls? What's the real reason? A lot of agents right now, and probably including yourself, if you're listening to this podcast, you're making those phone calls or you're not making those phone calls, or you're making some of those phone calls and then you stop making those phone calls because, it doesn't really fit into our agent DNA. It's a lot of no's. It's a lot of we're going to get turned down. It's a lot of we're having to talk to people that don't really know us or that we don't have a relationship or we don't have rapport built with. And so we kind of start to consider those things as a waste of our time. But if it is a waste of our time and we never do prospect, then that means that we're probably just working on referrals only. And there's a lot of companies out there today that'll tell you, hey, you know what? You can work by referral only. Well, that's just playing into your weakness because you don't want to prospect. So they're playing into that saying, hey, all you have to do is work by referral. But let's be honest, if we're working by referral, that means that we've got to know everybody in our marketplace. We've got to, to have every opportunity available to us to see those raised hands in the marketplace of people considering buying or selling a home. And there's different triggers people do. They sometimes talk to their friends and family. Sometimes they just log on and go to Zillow. Sometimes they log on to a local broker website or a local agent website, or they just happen to see something on Facebook and they want to go and inquire more. So they're actually there giving you that name and number or that raised hand in the marketplace. Whereas if we went by sphere of influence, we would have to know a lot of people to get a good market share of referrals. And we have to rely upon a lot of other people to send us those referrals with no guarantee of how much business every month that we're actually going to be able to do. But if we were getting a consistent lead source of 25 leads from this place and 50 leads from this place, that's pretty predictable. We actually know what we're going to be able to qualify and follow up with on a monthly basis. And then we can work on perfecting our process to be able to convert those. So all in all, if you're going to have a sustainable real estate business and you're not going to have the real estate roller coaster income stream where 1 month you got a lot of closings, next month you don't have as much, you're going to have to prospect in some way, form, or fashion. So here's the big industry myth that I think, and I shouldn't say industry, I should say the agents, that's never been presented to agents before. Why do we prospect? Are you prospecting because you think that making these phone calls, you want to set an appointment? Is that why you're prospecting? Are you getting down on yourself when you're told no? Are you asking them if they want to buy or sell a house, that you're a real estate agent, you have a license, you have a super key card to be able to get into the door, so you should work with me? Is that really what you're conveying to these people? One more question. Do you even want an appointment with this person that you're talking to or on the other line? And another point, if they're not answering, you've called them 3, 4, 5 times in the course of the last 2 weeks, they're not answering, they're obviously not interested, right? No, that doesn't mean that. So let's get into some of these ideas that we've concocted as agents as far as prospecting, get into what really we should be focused on. So prospecting to me is calling somebody that you don't necessarily know that has raised a hand in your marketplace by filling out a form, of sending an email, done something to be able to say that, you know what, at some point in the near future, I may be interested in buying or selling a property. So our job as agents is to reach out to them to qualify them. We're not calling them to set an appointment. You're calling them to qualify them, to understand more about exactly what they're looking for or they're not looking for. So when you're making these phone calls, when we say qualify, what do I mean? Well, what's pushing them to want to make this potential move? Okay, so what is their motivation? What is their motivating factor? What is pushing them to want? Well, my kids, I've got more kids on the way. I've got a growing family. I need a bigger house. That's a good one. I want to be in this school district because this is a bad school district. That's a good one. We're downsizing. The kids are gone now. We want to get into a smaller house. That's a good motivating factor. Those are real reasons why people want to buy a house. So we can start to kind of paint a picture with that. And then we also can kind of assume that not everybody is ready to move today. So we need to understand their time frame. Okay, so in a perfect world, when would you like to make this move? In a perfect world, when would you like to have this house sold? So then we can really start to paint a picture of not only what's pushing them to want to make this move, but also when would they like to accomplish that? And then we can kind of start to formulate if it's somebody that we really need to put in our car today, or if it's somebody that we need to follow up with consistently until they get to the time frame that they're ready to make that move. But if we're going into this phone call thinking that we want to set an appointment, you're going to get really frustrated really quick because, I mean, probably 95, 97% of the people you talk to don't even need an appointment. They're just either they're dead. They're like what I call they're dead to me, is what Mr. Wonderful would say. You're dead to me because they're just a nosy neighbor that happened to fill out a form, or they were just an evaluation sheet. They want to maybe, refinance information or whatever. but they're nothing to you. So they're dead to you. So we delete them, right? We leave them in our database. We follow up with them they get our email, our newsletters and those kind of things, but they're off our to-do list of calling our leads. But the other ones, they're not necessarily all ready now. I mean, most triggers or most raised hands that we get in our lead generating opportunity or lead generating companies, we actually, they do these moves well into an advance. Most internet leads are 4 to 6 months before they're actually ready to transact. That doesn't mean that's how long it's going to take for every single one of them. So don't assume that and wait 3 or 4 months to start calling them all, because that's going to be a waste as well. But we have to take that in consideration, but we don't really know that until we ask them those questions. Ask them when they're wanting to start that process, or when are they wanting to start making those moves. And then once we kind of understand there's a good reason why, there's a good motivation why, the time frame may still be 4 to 6 months down the road, you could push a little bit. You can say, hey, so, okay, awesome. I would love to have the opportunity to be able to earn your business once you're ready. Is there anything that you need from me in the meantime? Is there anything of value that I can bring to you, or any kind of information that I can supply you? But just out of curiosity, if I were able to get or find a property that matched the criteria that you're looking for, would that be something that you would consider earlier than 4 months, or consider earlier than 6 months? That's your push a little bit. Hey, dude, is there an opportunity to be able to do that? And you'll learn, but it's by asking those right questions when you're qualifying. So you're trying to see, hey, are you ready now, or are you not? Are you ever going to be ready or not? So we delete them. Or, hey, if you're ready down the road, is there a possibility you could be ready sooner? Is there anything else standing in your way that may keep us from doing it sooner? Or maybe there's an opportunity to do it sooner. So you got to really paint that big picture for these prospects. And then based upon that, know if you actually want an appointment or not. So don't go into every single prospecting call thinking that you want an appointment. You're just calling to learn them, okay? If somebody says, hey, listen, I got to wait till school's out to be able to move my child. I mean, I don't really care who you are. They're not ready to set an appointment today. So don't take that as a negative thing. Have a follow-up system in place to be able to stay in front of them. And what we teach is re-verify that motivation and time frame, but stay in front of them over the course of that period until they are ready, unless something may have changed in their motivating factor that may delete them, something changes, they decided not to move, or they may decide to move earlier because something sped up the process, or they end up moving on time. So don't think that you're prospecting to set appointments, because you're not. You're prospecting to be able to qualify them, to determine if you need an appointment or if they need an appointment now or not. And then based upon the information in that picture that you're painting of that prospect will give you a good indication whether or not how you want to follow up with them, if you need to set an appointment with them, or if you need to delete them and put them in like your subscriber stuff. So don't think that every prospect is ready to go today, because that's not why you're prospecting. I talked to one of my students today, and I learned that they have a lot of leads that were older leads, but they're all focused on the ones that are on the website and doing things right now, which is great. But the other ones aren't dead. Sometimes it takes time for them to cultivate. Not that we want to call them every day, because we don't. But when we do call them, we're just trying to get in touch with them to qualify them. And if we don't get in touch with them, if we've called them 20,000 times and we haven't gotten anything out of them, doesn't mean they're not interested. It just means that maybe it's not at the top of their mind. It's not really motivating for them to worry about it right now. Maybe something has changed with them as far as the reason why they wanted to buy at one time and now they don't. But the only way you're ever going to know that is if you qualify them. And the only way to qualify them is to call them or prospect them. And I know that word sounds so bad. So moving forward, when you're prospecting, think about it as I'm just calling this person to learn, to see if I can be of value and what value that I can bring to them to earn their business when they're ready. Because we're not necessarily going to be able to talk people in to buying a home sooner or quicker, most likely. Unless you have that's a whole nother coaching call there. But so keep in mind the reason why you're prospecting. Prospecting isn't bad. Think about prospecting as getting to know somebody. Think about prospecting as almost like finding a new friend or finding somebody else to talk to. Us as agents, in our DNA, we enjoy meeting other people. That's part of who we are. We enjoy helping those people. So think about that's what we're really doing. Another way to kind of think about it too is they don't know that you really are calling them to help them. Okay. When you first call them, don't think that you're trying to call them. You're not cold calling them. Okay. That's another kind of a myth too. Okay. Cold calling is cold calling somebody to try to like sell them a knife set or sell them a vacuum cleaner that they don't need. Okay. We're not cold calling or just door knocking. They raised a hand in the marketplace. That's how we got their name and number. We're not just going through the phone book to call random phone numbers or just random door knocking. They did something to give us their name and number to show that they may be interested in buying or selling a property. So don't think of that as cold calling them. Think about it that they don't really know that they need your help. They don't really know that you're really there to help them. You want to genuinely do a good job for them. You want to genuinely look in their best interest. You want to help them buy the right property for the right price at the right time. But in today's world, just know their guard's going to be up a little bit at the very beginning because there is so many people out there trying to call us to sell us that knife set or that vacuum cleaner that we don't need. So be patient with them. Don't take that as a no. Take that as that they're just being cautious. But to also think about it is when they do realize and they learn, they meet you, that they're going to be just as protective of you as their agent as they were of themselves when they didn't know you and they called in earlier. So that means they're going to be probably a pretty solid client for you and a genuine client and a loyal client as well, most likely. So even when they're that way, don't think that's being necessarily a bad thing. I hope that this gives you a little bit more insight on the prospecting side and the reason why you should prospect, because if you're just prospecting to set appointments, you're going to always be disappointed. You're never going to get the satisfaction that's going to want to make you prospect. Okay. So set some good guidelines as far as how you're going to prospect. We'll do another podcast on how to follow up and what to say and what really you're trying to accomplish, while you're making those follow-up calls, because that's just as important. We're not following up with them to set an appointment. We're following up with them for a certain reason, and we'll do a podcast just on that here in the near future as well. So post any questions you have about the prospecting side. I want to know about it, because if we're only going to work sphere of influence, then we don't really have to necessarily prospect. But we're also going to leave a lot of money on the table of opportunities that if you can just get the right words come out of your mouth to communicate and convey to that other party that you want to help them, you follow up with them consistently to the point that they are in the right time frame, that they want to purchase this property or start the process of getting this property listed, then you're going to grow your business. You're going to have a sustainable business. You're going to know consistently on how many appointments you can actually go on a monthly basis. So I hope this helps, guys. Thanks for joining us today on the podcast. Guys, email me directly your questions. If you've got some things that you want me to cover here on the podcast, please shoot me an email, david@realperch.com. And, if you're an agent and you know that you're struggling a little bit, maybe you don't really know what to say and how to say it, if you are having problems setting those appointments or what to say while you're on those appointments, maybe you're having some problems with your lead generators, reach out. That's my job. That's what I take personal. I honestly feel very honored and privileged that I now have the opportunity to coach full time, because after 15 years of selling, I really didn't know what I was going to do for, my retirement side of things. And so I really enjoy helping agents like yourself be able to have a sustainable residential real estate business, because, I want to teach you what not to do, what I did and what not to do to be able to move forward and get rid of a lot of the fluff, that's in our industry. And so that's why my coaching company is one of the very few coaching companies that will offer you a real 30-day money back guarantee. Really cash back, exactly what you paid us. You're not happy with that 30 days. We hand you the money back. Done deal, right? Who else can do that in today's market? Nobody. Nobody's doing that. Who else can tell you that I'm not going to lock you into a contract? No 6-month contract, no 12-month contract. It's a month-to-month deal. But the reason we do this is because we feel very confident in our coaches. All of our coaches are active brokers. And these are people that I've personally had a relationship with, whether it's in the industry over the years or it's in the coaching industry over the years. So these are professional people that I personally train to coach. They're not just an agent that wants to pick up a couple hours a week to be able to help other agents. I mean, and they don't know how to coach, because knowing all the information is not the same as being able to convey that to people like yourself to get you to want to do certain things, these key metrics that we know that are very important to be able to get you on more appointments and to get you to that income level that you really want. And last but not least, we're one of the few coaching companies that actually has a very affordable coaching pricing program. So definitely inquire with us. Let us share a little bit more, learn a little bit more about you, of course, learn what your goals are, and see if we can bring some value to that and help you to that process. So if we can be of any value, please email me directly. You can call us at 1-800-975. Shoot, I'm going blank on the number. I always type it. I don't ever text it. I don't know why. Let's see here. 800-916-7325. 800-916-7325 or david@realperch.com. And guys, look forward to talking to you in the next episode of the Real Talk Real Estate Show. I'm your host again, David Huffman, and we'll see you in a few days.